I'm going to start off the conversation the same way I start off all my conversation by asking you a question. Same question I ask every guest, which is, what is your evolution of race consciousness? And what I mean by that, just to give the audience and everybody a clear understanding, when did you first recognize that there was this thing, this racial hierarchy, ranking of human beings by basis of skin color, and that it was dictating some events around you or to you, or maybe you just noticed some kind of observation or whatever it was. And how did that, initial observation or initial experience, how did that change over time? How did your perception of race and racialization change over time? And where are you at now? So it's kind of, what is your evolution of race consciousness?
Uh, Great question. It's multi levels, probably just like everyone else. I want to say this. I always knew that there was a race category. If I've got to just be honest, uh, for full transparency, my mother is half Italian, half black. So very, very, my mother's very fair skinned, almost to the point where you would think she's white if you've seen her. Um, and so I remember that in sixth grade, maybe fifth grade, going to a predominantly black elementary school in East Oakland, California, where I'm from, where I'm raised. And I remember one of the kids just saying, like, we see my mom, he's like, "Man, is that your mom?" And I think that kind of hit home for me, like, okay, there's clearly it's visible, right, that we look different. Um, Really didn't pay it no mind, but kind of knew, like in the back of my head, like, okay, there's some differences going on here. I didn't know the profound difference. I remember being in school in the fourth grade, they're teaching us, Dr. Martin Luther King speech, I had a dream. Still really didn't, it didn't drive home yet. I wish we would have learned more about Marcus Garvey, Langston Hughes, James Baldwin, these particular gentlemen. Maybe it would have drove home a little bit more. So now we fast forward to ninth grade, 10th grade, and my mother ships me off to a predominantly white school in San Leandro, California. And I remember my very first day in English class. I walk in, I'm sitting there, and in walks this white girl with blonde hair, and I almost fell off my chair. I went home and I told my mom, I was like, "Mom, a blonde white girl like literally sits next to me." You know, I can't tell you how it made me feel, but I could tell you I was almost flawed, like it was a unicorn in sense. And then at the school, you know, you can clearly see the difference. The white kids had cars. The handful of us black kids that were there were probably taking the bus or being dropped off. So you see that, you begin to start to put the pieces together and be like, okay, that's a different life they're living, right? Um, and then there was a couple of instances at that particular school where we had some race issues with some of the uh, community members. And it almost turned into a full-fledged race riot right there at the campus one day. Um, and I clearly remember the principal pretty much taking it was like seven of us black kids into the office and wanting to suspend us for standing up for, this gentleman, community member, just came onto the campus and start calling us out of our name. Um, and then I seen how that before, and I'm like, okay, that's not right. We didn't even do nothing, you know? So I think all of that together, it was just a matter of time. And mind you, I haven't even gotten to the real world yet. I'm still in the educational institutions. Um, and so I'm almost, I'm almost being primed to start visualizing and accepting the racial divide that we all live under, whether you want to believe it or not, it exists, because in this city that Man, there's so many stories. I'm walking to my mom's job one day. Mind you, those white kids had cars. I had to walk. I had to walk probably 7 miles to my mom's job. And I'll never forget, I was by myself and a car full of white guys drove up behind me. I don't think they were students. They was just a car full of knucklehead white guys, I guess. I don't know. And they just yelled out, nigger. And I'm like, you know, 16, 17, I wasn't scared. I was mad because I'm like, in my neighborhood where I grew up from, if you got a problem with somebody, man, we're going to address it right then and there. You don't run. You don't sucker punch somebody and run away. So I'm yelling at them like, come on back. Come on back. Let's do it. And so again, I think those are just some of my first indoctrinations to my evolution of racial consciousness. And then as I gotten older, entering into the workforce, becoming a parent, having to be involved with the school in a different sense now, but as a parent, I really start to see the difference. And then fast forward without taking up too much time, we get to 2019 specifically, which brought me full center to where I'm here with you, good brother, was somebody's ignorance and hatred towards a family member that really, really was the octane in me pursuing my purpose, pursuing the cause of expressing to people how our ignorance hurts people in a way that we can't see physically. And so yeah, that was the turning point. That was a tidal wave, if you will, to really get me to be a little bit more vocal and not be passive, waiting and hoping for somebody else to acknowledge some of these things. And so the journey has led me to meeting wonderful people like yourself, and some other wonderful folks to really kind of build this community of being conscious of the differences that our pigmentation makes in just our existence, and how it if you're not Black, you don't understand how it incorporates every part of your life. Good, bad, or indifference. The racial aspect of being Black, you can't hide from it. And I said this to a law enforcement officer one time, and because he was a little bit jaded and a little bit obnoxious and a little bit condescending about how he gets the same vitriol from the community members which he works in. And I was like, wow, well, look at this. You get to go home and take off that outfit, and no one ever know you're a law enforcement officer, and you can live a wonderful life as a white man. I said, black people, we can't go home and change. We have nothing to take off. We live this 24/7. So that's why I made that comment. Like, if you're not Black, then you don't understand the 24/7 aspect of it. It consumes you. It is who you are, So I don't want to keep rambling on, but that was my evolution to get us to where we are here today, good bro.
That was just perfect. Thank you so much for walking us through that. So I'm just going to try to summarize a little bit. So your story, it resonates on a number of levels. First of all, having experience as a school age child, but not necessarily understanding the context within which those experiences exist. Yeah, it's a very common experience, and that's what a lot of people talk about when they talk about their evolution of race consciousness, is these moments. Either they experience some kind of racial discrimination or some kind of manifestation of racial hierarchy, and then they start having more experiences, right? Or they observe someone else experience it. Thanks for watching. For access to the full-length conversation and all of the 2-hour long unedited conversations that I've had on race, click the support link in the description below. Thanks for your support and see you next time.